Howdy, all Moglax Lives. I think it's time to play a little 7 Days to Die. Alright. Yeah, we didn't get a chance to play old D&D last night. Which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. One of our players was busy at work-ish, I guess. I don't know. They I guess they weren't at work. They were with people from work, and they took a boat out to go fishing, and then while they were fishing they found a well, I wanted to say snowblower, but it's not a snowblower, snowmobile in the water, and so they drug it out. And after they did that, then they got a call from their boss, who was also out in his boat, and the engine had quit on his boat. So we had to wait for them to go get their boss and tow his boat back to shore. So yeah, by the time they got back, it was like 11:30. I'm like, yeah, we'll probably just skip tonight. Alright, so you still need... I guess I should come at this from... I think I can do one more. Yep. Should probably come with this from inside, though, because it's higher up. So we were all just playing Final Fantasy instead. Which is fine, because, you know, working on that game, too. I did, however, finish watching Season 1 of Jupiter's Legacy. It was okay. It was, it was... It doesn't have a very good timeline of events, I guess, was my biggest issue with it. It tended to... I don't know. It had... It didn't have a main story, I guess, was my problem. A couple of events happened, and they showed those events, but they did not tie those events together, really. And like, there's tiny little snippets that maybe hint at something going on, but they never really get to the point where anything's really going on. So major spoilers for Jupiter's Legacy. Basically, it's got three storylines. Storyline number 1 takes place in like 1929, and it's when the original 6 superheroes get their superpowers. That storyline gets the most airtime and is the biggest story in the first season. The problem is that there's not a lot to it. And they keep making you think there's going to be something to it, but in the end, there's really not a lot that happens with them. So 1929, of course, is stock market crash, right? And so two of the characters are the sons of a steel magnate, and um, they're kind of the main two characters ish. And so the one guy, his name is the Utopian. I don't know all their superhero names, but it's Sheldon is his name, and so Sheldon is the friendly son. He's the one who knows all the workers in their steel plant by name, right? And then Walter, I think his name is Walter, is the accountant with the business head, and then the father is like, you know, I'm the business guy who built this place, but I also want to think of it as a family, and so when Walter tells them that he doesn't trust what's happening in the business world, stock market wise, banking wise, whatever, and that they shouldn't grow the factory right now, and they should just wait a few months. They act like he's an idiot, and so of course then the stock market crashes. They lose their business. The father throws himself off a building, and and so then from there, Sheldon starts having visions, which eventually lead him to finding a group of people he sees in his vision, which is this reporter woman who did a story on their father after he died. Sheldon, Walter, Sheldon's best friend, one of the factory workers, and there's 6 of them. Sheldon, Walter, friend, reporter, factory worker. Oh, and then the dude they found in the ocean on their way to the island that Sheldon has seen in his vision. And so this is an example of, I don't understand what the show is based off of a oh, that's not rock. It looks like rock. Look, it looks like rock, but it's claiming to be clay. So I could probably go down in one of my mine shafts here and get some bullet supplies since I lost my bullets, right? And then that would also get me rocks while I'm digging up my actual useful bullet supplies. So in the modern day, where part of the story takes place, it has to do with their kids. Now, it was not made clear in the show, other than the original 6 and their children, where superpowers come from. Because, like, I think all their kids have superpowers. So there's some heredity genetics to it, apparently. But they're also bad guys with superpowers. And so I don't know where they got their powers. Because they don't talk about it, really. And so so modern day, one of the big storylines is the code. Now the 6 started their version of the Justice League called the Union, and things have happened. The friend is not part of the group. I think he might be dead. I don't recall if they mentioned him dying or not. The guy they found in the ocean, apparently, according to what they said, turned on them. Although that might not be as true as they think it is once you get to the end of the season. And so there's only like 3 of them left. The factory worker Fritz, he got hurt real bad, so he doesn't superhero anymore. And but then they also have their kids, and so, like I said, one of the big storylines in the future is all about the code, and they bring it up a lot. But you know what they never do in the entire show is tell you what's in the code. The code says, we can't kill people because that breaks the code. What's the code? What's in the code? What are the rules of the code? Why is it such a big deal? Like, I get it. You don't want to kill anybody. In fact, when they do talk about the code before there's a code, it basically the dude is like, yeah, so we're gonna agree that nobody can rule anybody, so that none of us tries to take over, and we can't kill anybody. And I'm like, is that your code? Is that the whole code? You can't rule and you can't kill anybody? Like, you make this sound like it's a biblical thing. The code, we must uphold the code. The code is more important than ever. The code, the code, the code. Never gets explained what the code is. I mean, obviously I know what a code is. It's their code of behavior that they follow, but they never give you what the code of behavior is. And so I found that to be bizarre for a thing that they focus on so hard. The other thing that they talk about on multiple occasions is how difficult it was for the original 6 to get to the island to get their powers. And that didn't play out in the show. Which I thought was weird. Like, what stories did they tell their kids that their kids are like, yeah, we know it was such a arduous hardship for you to get your powers, the things you had to go through to get your powers. They took a boat, they sailed through a storm, they walked across some island, a little bit of desert, they argued with each other, and then they got their powers. Like, where did this arduous journey take place? I don't understand. That didn't happen. But so that was most of the show. Was probably, I mean, it was kind of split half and half, I guess. Half of it was an actual story, sort of the process from everything being okay to everything falling apart to getting their superpowers, right? And then in present day, I don't know what they were trying to do. It was like one part, we don't understand our kids, and I'm worried that my son is going to hate me like my daughter does. To supermodel daughter self-destructing. And then there's this big fight, and the son kills the bad guy. And so the father basically puts him in timeout and makes him stay on their family farm and not participate in anything. So it was I mean, it wasn't bad. I'm not saying it was bad. I enjoyed it. It just was not very deep or coherent. And I think I would have liked to have seen some more, like, they should have storylined it instead of scened it. If that makes sense. It's very tiny snippets of things that happened, um, and there's not just a smooth general storyline. And I'm a big fan of storyline. Um, I know I've mentioned it many times, but it feels like a lot of shows and movies don't build a storyline, they build a collection of scenes. And so instead of playing out in a story that takes place, you get, here's a scene of something that happened, here's the scene of something that happened, here's a scene of something that happened, here's a scene of something that happened. We play them in the chronological order that they happened, even though there's no connection between them necessarily. But hey, you got them in the order they happened. And so it kind of felt like that. Like it was, and they're all jumbled together in this though. They go in chronological order. Um, and so like the 1929 story, right? For the most part, the parts are in chronological order. The modern day stuff, the parts are in chronological order. Um, but they're also not connected to each other in any meaningful way. Like there's not a so okay, so you've got the old generation of superheroes and the new generation of superheroes, and they kind of want to do a story about how the young ones see it differently than the old ones, but not really. Um, you kind of got a story about how the father doesn't understand his kids because he was basically an absentee father because he was always at work as a superhero, but not really. Um, you know, and I mean, 8 hour episodes, and they didn't connect really any of the. I don't want to say four storylines together, because you had the Utopian doesn't think his son is good enough to be on the team or to be the next Utopian. You've got the storyline from the past. You got the storyline about the daughter self-destructing, sort of. I mean, she doesn't really. She just winds up becoming a couple with the son of the dude who left the Union team, who's a villain now. And then you got the storyline of uh, the dude that the kid killed. I say kid, he's in his 20s. But the dude that the kid killed turned out to be a clone, and so they reconstruct his head so that they can dive into his brain to find out where he came from. And so that's the fourth storyline. Um, and the thing is that no part of the daughter destructing and no part of the 1929 story and no part of reconstructing the bad guy so they can dive into his brain had anything to do with the son not following the code, really, at all. And so I found that to be weird. Uh, None of the 1929 stuff was a flashback to show parallels in what the kids were going through now and how it was different. That didn't happen in the show. Uh, so, yeah, it's just. And the daughter's storyline and the storyline of the dude, Skyfox's son, um, which is the guy they pulled from the water who then turned on the team, supposedly. Skyfox's son is looking for his father because he hasn't seen him in like 10 years. Um, and so the daughter and Skyfox's son kind of have a storyline eventually, um, which I count as part of the whole daughter's self-destruction. It's not really. They're kind of, those two make an alright storyline if they were by themselves, right? Everything is a okay story by itself, but when you chop it into pieces and then mix it in with all these other unrelated storylines, it's not as good a show as it could have been, and that's sad because it was acted pretty good, special effects were good. It just, I don't know. Most of the 1929 story and some of the present day stuff that does call back to the 1929 story is all about how Sheldon, aka the Utopian, is still damaged by what his father did, because his father jumped off the building in front of him. He was like in his 30s, and so he seems. I don't know. That stuff doesn't affect me, I guess. The dude is broke. Like he's broke before he got his superpowers, and getting his superpowers did not erase his brokenness from feeling betrayed by his father. And so that's what the code is for, to make sure that he can never be betrayed again. And that's what he views the world. His children have betrayed him by not upholding his beliefs, right? His wife has betrayed him by disagreeing with him publicly. And by publicly, I mean at the superhero council meeting, not like to reporters or something. Maybe we'll get season 2 and it'll be better. Maybe this was just a setup. But you know, they had the movie The Old Guard, which is also based off of comic books, graphic novels, whatever. That was a movie and did a better job of mixing old and new and telling a coherent storyline. How am I doing here? I got 1,500. Okay, next I've got to get some coal. I'm going to dig out this last splotch here, and then we'll go find one of my... Okay, we'll be trapped in here forever. I gotta go find one of my coal places now. I need to... which way am I facing here? I need to... Don't go down there. You didn't listen very good, did you? I said, don't go down there. There are mines. Finish... was it Shadow and Bone or something like that? Blood and Shadow? Shadow and something on Netflix. Jupiter's Legacy was on Netflix. I need to watch Invincible too on Amazon. I do know the 4th season of Castlevania came out today. I rather enjoy that one. It's also not as good as it could be. I'm not a huge Castlevania fan so much as I'm a huge fan of Castlevania 2. Is it Belmont's Revenge? I don't know, whatever the one is with Simon Belmont, Castlevania 2, Simon Belmont. I love his storyline, and um, so I dig the Castlevania stuff. Um, and I mean, Dracula is like one of my favorite monsters. So he was awesome in Castlevania. Um, it's really fun. Uh, it could be better. It could have a better storyline for sure. But they have some really fun fight scenes using bizarre weapons. I really like the fourth season here. So the three main characters in Castlevania TV show, the Netflix show, are from Castlevania 3, and uh, it's uh, Alucard, which is Dracula's son, uh, Sypha Belades, which is this sorcerer. In the I don't remember if it was a female character in the game, but it's a female in the show. And then she hangs out with Trevor Belmont. The Belmonts are a family of monster hunters. They hunt zombies and skeletons and ghouls and stuff like that. And Dracula. And um, so they've got some really fun fight scenes because Trevor and Sypha are kind of a couple. And so it's really funny to listen to them argue with each other while they're fighting. And because Trevor is super snarky. And I'm enjoying that one. I watched a couple episodes of that today while I was working. Yeah, the Dracula stuff in the first season is the first episode with Dracula is so good, so good. Um, it so they got Dracula, right, and he's in his castle, and in this show the castle teleports using magic and machinery, and so this woman who wants to be a doctor using science because it's set, you know, in the Dark Ages, somewhere in there, has heard of Dracula and his knowledge, and so she has come to let him look at his library. And so she goes in the castle and demands that he allow her to see his library because she believes in science and not superstition. And so she gets him to relent, and then they don't really show it, but I think Alucard is their son. And then she wants Dracula to be a better person. And he has remained in his castle for so long that he is out of touch with reality. And so she wants him to love people the way she loves people. And to see why it's important that she help people. And so he goes incognito into the world to walk the worlds and live amongst the common humans to learn about the humans. So while he's gone, the church eventually declares her a witch. and they burn her at the stake as a witch. And so, whatever little bit of humanity Dracula had gained during his walkabout was undone. And so uh, he appeared in the sky because he's super powerful, right? And so he appears in the sky as clouds, fire, I don't remember, and tells them that because of her, he will give them 1 year to leave, and anyone who remains at the end of 1 year will die. And so then at the end of 1 year, they haven't left, and the church is like, you see, he doesn't have any powers, blah, blah, blah. And then it starts to rain blood and fire. And Dracula took a year to cast a spell that opened the gates to hell to release an army of monsters to destroy all of mankind inside of the valley where the show takes place. It's pretty awesome. The later seasons are a different... I mean, it's a continuation of the story, but it doesn't have to do with... I think season 2 is Dracula still, and then season 3 changes up the storyline a little bit, and it's other vampires trying to fill the power vacuum that is left with the absence of Dracula. But of course, in the middle of all this, Trevor gets sucked in. He didn't want to be there. He didn't want to do the thing. But he's also, he's a reluctant hero. He doesn't want to do it. He doesn't want to be there. He doesn't like people enough to deal with all this crap. But he will because no one else can, kind of thing. Although he's going to grumble and complain the whole time. But yeah, it's a fun show. Alright, with that, I am going to call it here. So, be better than small things, lean to the light. I will talk to you later.